Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. My clock said 4:30, but my iPhone says 5:30, so I guess it was a time change. I've been up now for maybe a half an hour. I had fallen asleep with my computer on. I had videos, and then it went dormant, and then all of a sudden it started up, and I think that's what woke me up. And it was a person's voice that I was listening to before I fell asleep. And I'm not going to give the name of the individual, but as I was listening, I started to feel a little uncomfortable. That was the first time I ever saw this particular person over YouTube. And I initially was very excited. I said, oh, he's different. I've never seen him before, and he was talking about metaphysics. I had cued in the name metaphysics, and I think also the sun. What is the sun? And with those searches, when I strolled to see what videos were available, I did come across this individual. And when I clicked on it and listened, I said, oh, wow. He was doing like a live stream seminar. The lighting was good. He had a board to do writing. He spoke clearly. He was very buffed, meaning he had a T-shirt on, had muscles. He looked very fit. The person's in their 30s, and there's something kind of what I call kooky, and it was amusing. So you have a buffed guy, kind of acting a little quirky, very talkative. I said, this dude is different. So I even text a friend of mine to take a look at this fellow. So when I first started watching, I was amused. And it's funny, like when his eyes looked straight, it was weird. It was a weird feeling. His eyes are something, it was one thing. His body is something else. So it's like two things going on, but I couldn't figure it out. Because again, this was the first time I ever seen this person. So I think part of it was, okay, he had a nice body. So that is in play. But his face, it was weird. So, I eventually fall asleep. My computer starts to hibernate, and then it went on by itself, and that's what woke me up. And evidently the video went to another video, and it was the same speaker, but a different video. Now this person, I want to be careful how I word certain things, and why is it now bothering me? Like, you can listen to people, like sometimes initially the novelty of something could interest you, especially if you've seen a lot of things on YouTube. And then something is different. Things that are different is what kind of attracts you, because you want to know, why is it different? So it catches your attention. But I just turned off my computer because I started to feel irritated. And I think I want to address that irritability that I have. I am searching. And just like everybody else is too. We're all on a journey. And I think, see, this individual cannot search for me. I have to do my own searching. So I think maybe initially the novelty and wanting to know what he knows. And the veneer of this person, he sounds like that he knows something. But so I try to open my ears to hear him. But what's happening in me is irritability now. I feel like someone is pretending to have answers or to know. Like some people would say, a game. And so I say to myself, okay, what is he saying? Okay, let me just get information. Someone who's talking as much as he does, nonstop. And the person would jump from one thing to another. So that's another thing that I noticed, that he is talking nonstop, and he might say something, and he's not developing that thought, and then he'll jump to something else. So what's happened is like little tidbits, and he's relying your mind to fill in the gaps. But it's the gaps is what you're listening to him for. So that's what's bothering me, I think. I feel like I'm being played. He has the veneer of being a teacher, but what is it that he's teaching? So much talk, but so little content. And that it's very distracting now. I'm also thinking of who he reminds me of. I met someone from church once. It was a Protestant church, very, very big. And they have a lot of little ministries within. And I was trying to, I'm not even sure what I was looking for, but, I was going to school. I was almost finished my studies for my degree. And then I'm going to church, and then a ministry within the church. And so I met this person in this ministry. Now, actually, I think that the face, it's totally different people. But they have some resemblance. They're both very muscular. The other guy was actually older. The person from church was older. And he did very good work. He did knitting. He had an edge to him. He, like many people who do needlework, crochet, things like that, overwhelmingly they're women. But he did this type of work, and his work was very good, actually. He had also a machine that could help him make the items quicker. to mass produce it at a quicker rate. But he had an edge to him. He had a masculinity, because again, he's a male. He has, muscle tones and everything. But he also had that female cattiness. And it was weird. I very rarely meet individuals like him. So one day this individual in church, he was talking and he got irritated with someone. I don't remember exactly how it went, whether he was telling a story about something that just happened to him or what, but his response was, I see your game. I can see your hustle. And I'm looking at him real catty-like. And I'm saying to myself, well, what is he talking about? This is not... I remember he was saying the ministry that implied that this is like a hustle, or I can see through your game. And I'm wondering, where did that come from? We're all ladies, senior citizens, all different. Most of us are older and some were younger. But I think everyone was like in their 30s and up, between 30 and 70. And he's the only male. And it reminded me of, see what happens in some communities, like the only thing you know is pain and how to try to get out of the pain, how to get out of the box, how to get out of poverty. And again, I don't know this person's deep past. I had gone out to lunch, because he invited me, said, let's go eat lunch around the corner. It was at a fast food place. And he was he had like a mean edge to him. He got easily frazzled. And that's what, I think that's the last time I ate out with him. I didn't want to be around that. I don't think he's a bad person per se, but he's definitely a hurting person. And this person reminds me of the person on the internet. But again, the age difference is a big age gap, but they remind me of each other. They're both very talkative. But the older man from the church was more, you could see where he's coming from, that you could see that there's a lot of pain, and you could only just speculate what might have happened to him. While the younger person has, as what the other guy would say, a hustle or a game going. And this younger person, being what they might call a millennial, so he knows about the technology, the internet, social media type of thing. And so his demographics might be a little different. People who might be more savvy with the technologies for social media of communication. So he has a larger audience, while the older man, not as techno-savvy, a different outreach. He'll communicate to a more limited audience, and that limited audience may hinder his ability to, in a nutshell, get money. Because again, he did the knitting and the crocheting for a living on the side. And so he's a worker. You can tell that he's a man. He has hands that work. He's a craftsman. He uses his hands. His hands are his income. But how to deliver. And so that's when he used that term, I can see your hustle or something. You could tell there was anger. So you could tell he wasn't living in a cushy lifestyle. I gather, was someone who was aspiring to excel in life. And so now I'm looking at this younger man over the internet. And again, this is the first time I've ever seen this person or heard of him. And he's on a lot of talk shows, I see. But with him, like the other man was more transparent of what he was. While this other man, because he's newer, younger, I feel that, like, on the internet, you can be anything you want to be because you're in front of a camera and you could edit, you could have a script. It's more contrived. And so I'm listening to his so-called game, as the older man would have probably said of him. But I'm left feeling angry because I feel that I'm being played. I feel like now we all have our own masks. We all have something, we want to present something out there. And I'm a little embarrassed how I feel because of transparency. We all have, we have curtains in our home, so some things we allow the curtain to show, to be open a little bit, to have the light come in. But there are moments where the curtain is going to be drawn a little bit, so not as much light can come in, or so you can't see as much. So you regulate how much you want people to see, how much you want to see out or in. You regulate. And so just like him, he wants to regulate, and just like me, we all, there's some things we want to share that we want to be open with, and some things we're more modest. My looking at this individual, I feel that even though he's communicating, he's talking nonstop, but what is he really saying? I feel that he's relying you to fill in the gaps and make you think he's saying something of content. I feel that, like the older man, he has a hustle, a game. And you might think that, what does he really have? Because he was mentioning something about these celebrities he was meeting. Like, first he initially said he was, I think he was selling something with some high-priced items, that he was selling these things. He worked in, I guess, some business establishment, and being able to sell these high-priced goods, that it opened the door for him to meet people who could afford them, like celebrities. And these celebrities, it seemed like, opened the door for him to get an audience. And you know what else? I mean, I think what I'm embarrassed about is that sometimes you can see through something. And the other thing that I have to reveal, that my being a person of color is the same as those other gentlemen that I was referring to. And one thing I noticed with our communities is that we're capsulated. And some of us may feel more capsulated than others. And what I'm feeling right now is that I feel capsulated. But maybe the illusion that my encampment might be bigger than others in the community. But I see, and I'm at least feeling now, that we're all stuck. And I think that's what the older man meant when he said, I see your game, I see your, because he knows, the older man knows he's encapsulated. He knows what life is and wants to place on him. And so he's angry. I gather with the older man, as also with the younger man, and I will explain it, that most of our homes that we come from homes, many of us, especially the newer people, younger people, 30s and under, that more than half of us in that demographics were raised in a female head of household. Might have been the mom, the aunt, the grandmother, and then you raised in a church environment early on in life. And I suspect that might have been an issue. At least the older one, just like, I don't know. I don't know whether the guy did prison or, but a lot of pain, a lot of pain I get from him. And then the younger man, like he mentioned that he was homeschooled. Okay, this man is in his 30s. He was homeschooled. I don't know what state he's from. Again, I'm new with this individual, and it's only maybe 2 videos that I saw, 3 videos. Well, the third video, I stopped because I was starting to get irritated. I said, I can't listen to him right now. But what he said in one of the interviews, the second interview, he said that he was homeschooled by his mom, and how his mother introduced different philosophies, religions. But never once in the conversation did he mention anything about a father. So that's okay. So that I don't know. I mean, it's none of my business about this person. And again, like I mentioned about the curtain, we allow some light in, but we have a right how much we want to show. And the same for him. But it's something that it's bugging me. That something that's not genuine, that you presenting something that's not real. And when I feel that someone is hiding something, again, it's not my business to get in his business, but when I feel someone is putting something out there to make you believe something, so that's where I'm coming from. because no one asked him to put it out there. So you have all the freedom to put certain things out there. But I'm left feeling this way. So when you have someone, when someone is talking, really, listen to them. What are they really saying? Why do they keep switching from one thing to another? Again, like the magician, they want you to look at one hand, but yet something else is going, and then they switch. See, someone who really knows is able to discuss deeper on that topic. And it may not be all over the place. Or if it starts to get all over the place, but then they'll bring it together. And so there's an essential theme for clarity. But when I listened to him, I couldn't gather the clarity because he kept switching and not developing. And see, that could be also the magician, to make you think that to get your attention, and then before you could grab it, it switches over to something else. So I feel like it's almost a tease, and that makes me uncomfortable. And the thing with the eyes, it's almost like, again, people have the freedom to be what they want to be, but I pick up a gay spirit, a homosexual. I don't know what it is. So you see a buffed, but then something with the eyes and his speech pattern. Now, the second video that I saw was just an audio, but it had the person's name, and it was the same voice. What does the voice sound like? And it's weird. It's a weird, like at first it made me laugh when I saw the actual video, the first one. He's all animated, talking a lot, but the thing with the eyes and the body, I don't know. And then the second and the third, I just hear his voice. So why does he sound like this? Some of you who hear me say this, say, boy, why do you care what his orientation is? I think when someone is presenting about being a teacher or master at something, and then you have that edge, so I start to ask myself, what spirit is moving you? That's my issue. What spirit is moving and working through him? And so I have a problem with that. I have a problem when two things are at play. You have that spirit, and then you have, so you're dressing like a man, but you have a female. So it's conflicting to me. Again, he has the right to be what he wants to be. But I think what I'm reacting to is the inconsistency that I feel. I see that I don't like to be played. Like the guy in church, when he felt that someone was outplaying him, or when he said, I see your game, your hustle, then he's referring to a competition. And many of us in the Black community, we compete against each other because we're crabs in the same barrel, and we're all trying to get out. And I think that's what the older man was getting at. He's working hard, but he's not free. He's not excelling in life. He's talented. He's rough around the edges. He has a female cattiness about him, but yet he's a big, strong dude. So I gather that, I pick up that he might have been raised also with women. And I find that men of color who are raised with women and no male figures, it seems to be a problem. I sense the hurt in him, very strong hurt. And to not have an opportunity to be raised with a male, so identity. And to want, let's say, if they're not gay or anything like that, but they want a strong male figure to look up to, and for that to not be available to him could make someone feel agitated. Or even with myself, that to have a strong, I don't want to say strong, but a positive Black image, let's say of a professional Black woman, a feminine, a woman that acts like a woman. I don't really see that. I live in a world where I don't see a lot of professional Black people, male or female. I see a lot of hurting Black male and female, and I feel resentful at that. And even in the church, you see, that last church I went to, you had a lot of different types of people, but a lot of us are trapped, and I was no different. Even though I was working towards my master's degree, which I did complete, but I was still stuck, and that's what I was experiencing, how to get out. And I thought the way to get out was through getting my degree. And life changed on me. And so I'm sensitive to other people's plight. It's like I'm looking out my window into other people's windows, and I pick up that there are a lot of us that's trapped. But this young man, he has something I think that a major difference with this younger person is that he's gotten the attention from white people. I don't see, I just saw maximum 3 interviews. The first one was really him giving a seminar. He was by himself. The other 2 were radio programs he was on. And those other 2 radio programs were Caucasian. So I could only gather that what's different is that he's gotten more mainstream to a white audience, He's giving his lecture or whatever, his speech. He's being interviewed, and I'm listening to him, and it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but does he? Because each time I say, I tell myself, he's going to get to the point, and then he switches. So I start to think, wait a minute. Is this his game? He make it sound like he knows what he's talking about, but everybody is embarrassed to really say, oh, could you elaborate on that point? Well, I'm not sure what you're saying. That's how I feel. That we're embarrassed. Sometimes when you reach to a point where you've decided a particular person is something, but you have put him up on a pedestal or her up on a pedestal, and you're too afraid to call it what it is. That you don't really know what you're pretending. I feel the person is pretending, and the other people are too afraid to admit that they don't know what he's talking about. And so he's going on and on, nonstop. See, when you really, if you're an interviewer, see, it's good to get the person to talk. But what do they do? But for clarity, you at times have to stop and say, okay, and you want to examine that thought. But it's not being done. And I feel they're not going to stop him, because then they won't, they might be perceived as being rude. They're afraid, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going by how I feel. But something's not sitting right. I think also why I'm reacting is that I was listening to another person from the community. And I think this person had no one wants to really address. And I'm angry because I feel that the person is not being honest. This other person, this one is a woman, and this person is from the same city that I'm from. This other person, I will not mention names, but maybe later on I will. Not in this video, not in this audio. But I'll mention what the person claims. This person claims that they're a child prodigy. The person sounds very intelligent. Very, very intelligent. What really, there were two things that really made me feel uncomfortable with this person. There's two separate incidences. One, when the person, this is a person of color, a black person. And when the person is being interviewed, they mention, again, people could have a right for their own identity. It is their right to define themselves how they want to be defined. But again, being from the same community and the pain that we're suffering and shame to be what we are racially, and again, it is, our race is a construct from society. Race is a made up thing that really doesn't exist. But either way, we're given labels. And when this person, their work was brilliant. If they, in fact, wrote this thing, so if they wrote it, the work is phenomenal. But this person gave credit for their skill and success on someone else. They gave credit to alleged ancestors that they claim that they have. But when you look at this person, you just see that they're a black person. They don't look like anything else. But they're giving success of their skill to their white ancestors and Native American ancestors. I'm looking, I said, okay, that's cool, but you're from the same city I'm from, and I know who lives in that city. And so I felt a little taken back. But the more I thought about it, the more it started irritating me. And why it irritated me is because it's reminding me that people are being taught in the black community to not like themselves, that they're bad. That's why. And if they feel bad about themselves being black, that they must not like me either, and not like you, the black race, either. And I have a problem about that because I want us to love ourselves. So you have someone who is in essence representing you, because that's all that people are going to see when they see this person. But they don't like themselves, so how could they like you? And why are we supporting them? So that is my first issue. Then there was something else. This person was on an interview, being praised, and was interviewed by a black person. And this person says, at the interview, what was this now? Oh, they were making claims about their background. And I thought a particular thing was very problematic when the person said, the interviewer said, how old were you when so-and-so, when you got engaged with so-and-so? The person alleged that they were engaged in the early 1980s to a very, very well-known black person. But they didn't marry. And so the person responded, okay, or I also have to ask that the person didn't marry them because they were, the initial response was, well, this person was so much older than her. And the person gave the name, the age of the other person. The other person was in their late 30s. So the guy said, well, how old were you at the time? And the person, this is the key thing. The person responded, I can't answer that because of identity theft. That, this day and age, people steal your information. Now, the interviewer did not ask for her social security number, the year the month, and the day she was born. She just says, how old were you at that time when so-and-so, when you got engaged to so-and-so, since that other person you felt was so much older? That's all that the person asked. That was a key thing. That was a key thing. Now, yes, okay, she's a mature woman, and to just go up to a woman, hey, how old are you? Okay, culturally, that's a no-no. But hey, you're talking about an event in the past, the far past. How old were you at that time? And so the secrecy. So when people have these secrets, that's another thing that's in our community. We have secrets. And this is a secret to her. And it's a secret to her identity. And the person's name. Now, you can call yourself anything, but when people want to, I have to back up just a little bit with regard to her age. Now, part of her secret that would really be revealing, if one finds out about her, is that you don't really know much of her past. You can only go by what she's telling you, just like anybody. Just even myself, I can say anything. But it's what they're sharing and why they're sharing what they're sharing. They want you to believe something about them. Like the first guy mentioned, he made sure he let you know that he worked in places that sold high-end items, and it connected him with people with money, blacks with money, got him inside, and this other person too, the woman. So she's wants to also create a picture about her, but we know, being from the neighborhood, so to speak, we all know that each of us have certain chains that are holding us back from really excelling in life. So this lady doesn't want you to know to know a particular age of someone at a particular time. You'd be able to ascertain certain things, and she knows this. At least I believe that she knows this. Part of it is, well, when did she go to high school or junior high school? So it pinpoints. And then you may be able to pinpoint what school she went to. Now, it turns out that she claims that she didn't go to high school because she was brilliant, and she just took the Regents exam. So I guess from junior high school, and she jumped into college. But if you don't know how old she is, I mean, there's a partial clue in that video. I think it was the same video. It was one of the interviews she did give her age when she got into her field that she's in now. Okay, so there's a approximation how old she is, but I don't believe it entirely. But she conveniently says that she didn't go to high school and got into this college and then goes to California. So so that's a big piece missing. So that people won't be like, if you didn't go to high school, so So who is she really? Who are her friends? Again, she didn't want to associate with this other person that allegedly that she was engaged to. I never heard this in the media because the person was so high profile. It wouldn't be a secret. But so there's an obscurification of who she really is. And so are her claims such? So she's a prodigy. I think she said she studied law. I think she might have said she actually has a law degree. So all this stuff, and she's a mathematician. And she started to ramble at this point. I feel badly that why am I even making an issue about this? And it seems like when people of color are being interviewed, when they're interviewed by whites, they tend to say one thing, and when you're interviewed by a black, you give other information. And that was an issue. That last interview that I saw her on, she was more forthcoming at one point towards the latter end of the interview. She was angry, and rightly so. If her claims are correct, she's rightly so. And I liked the latter part of the interview because I felt she was real at that point. But the first part, when she's giving the claims about her skills or her abilities, I feel that a lot of us, if really examined, are not what they appear. And that's what I'm sad about. Because when you feel that you have to make claims, say things so that people will like you or want you, then you're still a slave. At this point in my life, I don't want to be anybody's slave anymore. I don't want to be a people pleaser anymore. And so I want to break out of my chains, my mental chains, so I don't have to, so I can really, truly learn who I am, my identity. When we hide behind somebody else's identity, you're not developing your own. And that's what I see with these two people, one male and one female. And that, you might be able to trick people and convince other people of your game or your hustle, but it catches up to you. I don't want to run anymore. I don't want to run. I don't want to lie to myself. I want to be able to look in the mirror and say, that's you. Or I can just go outside and really be me. But I see us in the Black community that we're walking around with a mask many times, that we want to make people think that we're bigger than we are. And I feel I was doing the same thing at one point when someone mistaken me. It was in the winter time, and I was with my dogs. We had just walked close to 3 miles, And it was cold earlier that day, but the sun had come out and it was warm, and I was just ultra warm. And I have my bowl of water for my dogs to drink, and I'm just relaxing in the sun. And someone thought I was, someone mistaken me to be a homeless person panhandling and put money in my doggy's water bowl. I kid you not. And when she sees the water splashing, she takes the money out. Oh, I'm sorry. So at that point, I felt, I said, wow, I don't want people to think I'm homeless, living on the street. So I changed. I tried to, I got new clothing. I bought new clothing. But I am who I am. And what if I was homeless, living on the street? If that's what I am, then that's what I am at that time. And I shouldn't be ashamed of it. We are who we are. If we have $1 million, we are who we are. There are people with a lot of money, and they pretend to be paupers. Have you seen that before? And then you have people who have no money and try to dress and act like they come from money. So both groups are lying on their identity. So I can understand someone, I could understand in part someone who is extremely wealthy if you live in certain areas, because you could get kidnapped for your money and they hold you for ransom. Okay? But I don't live in an environment like that. So what is this all about? It's about being truthful to yourself, and that we don't have to live by a mask. We don't have to do things and make up stories about ourselves to have all of these magical abilities. And then when you examine them, you most likely you're going to find holes in the story. When someone obscures an essential part that could really, someone be able to what they call fact check, it's all going to topple. So, yeah, I'm feeling funny these days, emotionally, the past couple of weeks. I did share earlier that I was getting severe headaches, at the temples. I feel a little irritable because it's like I'm searching and gathering information, but I see holes into things. And I have to really just go within. That first man, if he was really going in, I don't know, just something's not sitting right. I'm not the police, and I don't want to be the policing people. I have to police myself. I have to make sure that I'm in alignment to myself and what is true. If you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to anybody else, and you're still in that hole. And it's my desire to come out of the hole. So we're all on this spirit journey together. And I pray, especially to the Black community, melanated community, the African American community, and the like. whatever how you want to label yourself. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Thank you.